Something extraordinary is happening inside the Democrat Party, something so explosive that MSNBC, CNN, and the New York Times are desperately trying to minimize its significance. A young progressive firebrand has just declared war on his own party's establishment, and the resulting chaos is exposing deep fractures that could reshape American politics. Tonight, we've obtained the internal communications and exclusive polling data that reveal just how dire the situation has become for Democrats. Party elders in panic mode as approval ratings hit historic lows and millions in campaign funds are being diverted to an unprecedented purpose. The political earthquake that is coming will change everything, and you are going to hear it here first. While Democrats fight amongst themselves, Americans are fighting another battle against toxic products flooding their homes. Just like the political establishment needs cleaning out, your home deserves the same care. The everyday products you're using right now, cleaning supplies, kitchen essentials, personal care items, where are they coming from? Foreign factories with questionable ingredients and safety concerns are infiltrating American households just as radical elements infiltrate political parties. But there is a solution. American-made, non-toxic alternatives from one of the most trusted manufacturers in the country. So protect your family from harmful chemicals while supporting American jobs. You can register today for the Zoom call to get all the inside scoop on this at patriotswitchnn.com. But you need to register now before the spaces fill up. You'll find the link to do so in the description. So the Democrats' civil war has officially erupted. Young radicals attacking their own party, shifting it even further to the left. What's going to happen? They're only going to alienate more of their base. Well, we welcome them with open arms, but don't bring your woke shit to us. All right? Don't California my Texas, as they say. Oh, David Hogg made a political career after that horrible day. Still grandstanding on that moment. But let's find out what he's doing now. The DNC vice chair, David Hogg, has decided to spend $20 million to primary ineffective Democrat incumbents. Yes, the establishment is in panic mode as James Carville calls him a contemptible little twerk. The left is eating itself alive.
Now, the rift in the Democratic Party is growing deeper. DNC Vice Chair David Hogg announced last week that his We Deserve PAC would put $20 million toward primary challenges against safe seat Democrats who he says are ineffective.
Now, the goal is to get younger faces in those seats, with a number of young progressive candidates already launching their primary bids against long-serving incumbent House Democrats. Now, that has angered a large portion of the party. Here's what Democratic strategist James Carville had to say about it.
AOC, in her kind, and this guy, David Hogg, they want to run against other Democrats. Democrats are not the problem right now. Why don't somebody sue David Hogg? He's an officer of the Democratic National Committee. He is the vice chairman of the Democratic National Committee, and he's running against other Democrats. But I might give the DNC $10 and sue him. He's a contemptible little twerp.
Hogg had the chance to respond on Monday. Here's what he had to say.
Try it. That is my reaction. I would also say James Carville has not won an election since before I was born. I think it's time to have new leaders in our party that are ready to meet this moment, because a lot of the people that are most critical of this plan are the same ones that had $2 billion to win an election and still lost.
What do you make of this, Bofta?
Well, I think James Carville, the fact that he even says, AOC and her kind, he's just really out of touch. He's out of touch with the people. He's in touch with the party. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean those who've, long-serving incumbent Democrats. I think he's in touch with the party. He's really out of touch with the people. I'm sorry, but Bernie Sanders and Senator Sanders, I should say, and AOC have gone all over the country and drawn huge crowds. And we've talked about this. That doesn't
Yeah, they're trying to create the official Communist Party of the United States. But Timu Charlie Kirk is continuing, right? James Carville exposing the truth further. He said, I thought our job was to beat Republicans. How quaint. Meanwhile, young radicals like Timu Charlie Kirk want to destroy their own party. Let's continue.
With him in part, I think the Democratic Party is excessively deferential to seniority and age to a fault, that there are way too many people in charge of the Democratic Party who have simply waited their turn. I've said that a lot. So I can't entirely dismiss what Hogg is saying and doing here. I just also don't think he really has a strategy or a plan or necessarily knows what motivates Democratic rank and file, or what will make the Democratic Party, this is the important thing, more palatable to independent-minded voters, right, in the swing states. What brings back the working class, blue-collar voter who was supportive of Bernie, maybe, and then actually ended up voting Trump and has now kind of become a safe Republican? What brings those people in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin back into the fold? And then...
Yeah, I don't think the answer is tampons in boys' bathrooms. The mainstream media has been the marketing arm for the Democrat Party, a 24/7 infomercial for years. Americans have been red-pilled and can see them together now. Their propaganda pipeline is finally broken. Let's check in with the roundtable at the 5.
Nick says he's using money to go after Republicans. He should be using the money to go after Republicans and not Democrats. And as an officer of the DNC, he's violating his fiduciary responsibility by primarying Dems.
I don't care about either of them. They're both contemptible. One's a nitwit and the other one's a nitwit. Let him have it. I think they're dating. You know, watching Clyburn blame the media is like blaming the bank when you overdraw. You know, maybe they can't cover their debts. You know, they covered you for Biden's condition. They covered you for Kamala's competence. They covered for you when you were saying Trump was Hitler. You know what? The media is dying. The bank is dying. They can't afford to cover your debts. His complaint is unfair because it's not like the media doesn't want to get in bed with him. They do want to help. They really do. It's just that now we all get to watch, right? We've all been red-pilled. We can see them together now. We know the patterns. We know when they're lying. So it's going to be hard for the appeal of this party to return because the mainstream media is no longer, it has its grip on the public. When it would push a hoax, it would go through the same, typical channels. Start low, go high, blah, blah, blah. But that pipeline has been crushed. A hoax gets smothered, before it can get out of the crib. I don't think
One Democrat commentator exposing the truth that David Hogg taking donor money meant to beat Republicans is despicable because liberal donors are being scammed.
We get to it, and if I can understand why the Democrats would be mad. Like, imagine asking a Democratic donor who's worked hard all week, is not a big mega donor, okay? And you say, can we get $250 from you this month because we really want to, we got to do a lot of things for the Democrats. We've got to do a lot of things for Democrats so we can fight the Republicans. And you find out that it's actually going to a primary situation that is going to make it harder for the Democrats to beat the Republicans in the general. How dare you take their money? I think that's despicable.
The fact that the Democrats, Jessica, are not able to accept responsibility and basically say, we don't have a message, we don't have a leader. I mean, doesn't it mean that they're going to stay in the tank until they kind of address the elephant in the room?
Listen, it hasn't been that long, and this has been a very fast-moving first 3 months of the Trump administration.
But this is the lowest approval in 2 decades.
It's terrible. I'm very upset by it, but it's going to take time to figure this out. And everyone, because of the velocity of which Trump administration is doing things, is a bit on the back foot. And they're trying to do their best. They go and they have these town halls. They're listening to their constituents. They're going to Republican districts where their members won't show up to listen to the people there. And folks are talking about what Doge is doing. I mean, Chuck Grassley had a town hall where his constituents in red Iowa are talking about Abrego Garcia. Those things are happening. To Dana's point about the David Hogg versus older generation. I completely agree. And, you know, he gave $100,000 to the DCCC as some sort of gift in this, which I just find to be even more offensive. And he talks about, and progressives, young progressives, I would say, talk all the time, well, we need this fight, and these are the issues that matter. And then they rattle off issues that don't register at all in elections. They say climate change, gun violence, LGBTQ plus rights, things that I desperately care about. But people vote on the economy or they vote on immigration. And if you want to help us, go talk to Angie Craig or Pat Ryan or some of these moderates that win in tough districts and find what the special sauce is for that. And then bring that to incumbents or people who have a chance at actually beating a Republican and help them steer towards the middle where the majority of Americans actually are electorally.
Jesse, wrap it up.
Well, I'm with Greg. Watching these two fights like watching women's boxing. They're both 130 pounds. The fighting's bad, and I don't care who wins. Clyburn, he himself is a problem. He's the one that gave us Joe Biden. He blackmailed Biden to have a DEI VP.
Yep.
He was part of that coup and then pushed Kamala instead of an open primary, and then they got wiped out. And he's blaming the media. Permission to make an analogy.
Please do.
This is like the Democrats are a chef who cooked disgusting food. The media is like the food critic that keeps on lying to everybody about how good the food is. Now, they don't have any more customers, and the critic has no more readers, and the chef, instead of changing his recipe, wants food critics fired and rehired with better food critics. It has nothing to do with the food critics. You cook disgusting dishes. You need to stop using influencers and celebrity appearances and flashy music. Just cook better food that everybody likes. Jessica, there's a saying, it's called all.
Democrats' approval hit rock bottom, 25%, their worst polling in 2 decades. What does Congressman Clyburn do? Blames the media instead of their failed policies.
Their worst. The Democrats are getting close to hitting rock bottom. Only 25% of Democrats say they are confident in their party's leaders in Congress, making it their worst polling result in over 2 decades. And now Congressman James Clyburn is blaming the media for their dumpster fire numbers.
I think the message that comes from the Democratic Party is a good message. The problem we've got, is that we have to depend upon the media to deliver it.
That comes as James Carville clashes with DNC Vice Chair David Hogg over Hogg's $20 million campaign to boot ineffective incumbents.
He's a contemptible little twerp.
Carville believes in a politics of being timid, of hiding. I believe in fighting.
It's the most insane thing. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, antiquated. I'm not part of the hip generation. I'm not very au courant. But I actually thought our job was to beat Republicans. How quaint of me.
James Carville has not won an election since before I was born. I think it's time to have new leaders in our party.
Okay, since we ended on that, I'll start with that. Okay, so Carville and Hogg, I love this disagreement. Carville goes after him, Greg, and he says he's using money to go after Republicans. He should be using money to go after Republicans and not Democrats. And as an officer of the DNC, he's violating his fiduciary responsibility by primarying Dems.
I don't care about either of them. They're both contemptible. One's a nitwit and the other one's a nitwit. Let him have it. I think they're dating. You know, watching Clyburn blame the media is like blaming the bank when you overdraw. You know, maybe they can't cover their debts. You know, they covered you for Biden's condition. They covered you for Kamala's competence. They covered for you when you were saying Trump was Hitler. You know what? The media's dying. The bank is dying. They can't afford to cover your debts. His complaint is unfair because it's not like the media doesn't want to get in bed with him. They do want to help. They really do. It's just that now we all get to watch, right? We've all been red-pilled. We can see them together now. We know the patterns. We know when they're lying. So it's going to be hard for the...
Activist David Hogg admits their problem is a major brand problem with the Democrat Party. They had $2 billion last election cycle and still lost. Here he goes inside Jen Psaki.
Right now, what we're looking at are it's not out with the old and in with the new. It is out with the ineffective and in with the effective. And part of what we're doing with this announcement is waiting to see who retires here and says, you know what, it is time. I'm not ready to meet this moment anymore. And I know for a lot of our members that they will decide that ultimately.
Okay, I know. I love about you that you never hold back and you say what you think. I'm wondering, because James Carville said this was a crazy idea or a bad idea.
Yeah.
Now,
he also predicted we would win the election in a landslide.
A lot of people predicted that. That what is true is a lot of people predicted that. Now, he is definitely not a young person. I don't think even he would say that. He did help a governor most people had not heard of in an unlikely path to the presidency.
Totally.
So I guess my question for you is, why take the bait and attack him back? Why in this moment?
I think the fact of the matter is we say over and over again, we just need to listen to the experts over and over and over. And of course, experience matters, but experience is only as useful as it's actually working. We had $2 billion last election cycle, and we still lost. And I think part of the problem that we have here is a major brand problem at the Democratic Party. When people go into the ballot box, they're not just thinking, oh, how am I thinking about my frontline member of Congress, for example? That's obviously important, and we need to support those members, and we plan to support some of them, obviously. What they're thinking about, though, is what do I think about the Democratic Party? And that is the product not just of one member of Congress, but all of our Democratic members of Congress and what they're doing and how they're fighting back. And the fact of the matter.
Okay, enough. I can't take any more of it. But we have this. An unexpected 25-year-old is pushing the party to the brink and igniting a civil war.
David Hogg. There's a civil war brewing among the Democratic Party, and it's been started by none other than activist and new vice chair of the DNC, David Hogg, the survivor of the infamous and tragic Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school massacre shooting. Hogg announced that he, through his outside PAC, would spend $20 million to campaign against older Democrats in favor of younger ones. At this rate, who knows how much longer his party has left. They have eaten themselves alive and have allowed the fringe to become the mainstream. They are literally destroying themselves and the states and the cities that they run. Now, an inexperienced 25-year-old is pushing the party to the brink and igniting a civil war. Hogg is in the position he is today because of his extreme left-wing activism, which the mainstream sect of the party supported. But that's what you get when you don't push back against the furthest fringes of your party. I'm Armstrong Williams. There's a civil war brewing among the Democratic Party.
Armstrong Williams,
and it's been started
baby. So the facts speak for themselves. Democrat Party approvals hit a 20-year low. Just 25% young progressives are planning to primary their own incumbents, and longtime party strategists like James Carville are publicly melting down, calling their colleagues contemptible on national television. It's not just infighting. It's a full-scale civil war that could reshape the political landscape for decades, and I'm here for it. So the critical question every American should be asking while Democrats are busy destroying each other from within, who's looking out for your family's security and prosperity? With their focus entirely on internal power struggles, what dangers are they ignoring? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and stand strong amid the political chaos by supporting the Next News Network at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Limited edition gear selling fast, Patriots. So get yours today.